Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sal Vetri, and today we're going to be covering this Tuesday, a little bit of a three-game slate. The way that the NBA is set up right now, you get big slates, three-game, 11-3 for the next 5 days or 5 days total. So welcome back. We're going to break this all down. Should be quick and easier to digest than yesterday. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Sal Vetri, and what I do is I cover NFL, NBA, and what will be, or what is right now in spring training, Major League Baseball daily fantasy sports. And my whole goal is to give you guys overwhelming value, right? Give you guys as much information as you can get, at least in the beginning of the day for NBA, because it is a whole process throughout the day. Come back later on with some before lock shows and just give you the data, give you the things that I work through, everything that I work through in the beginning of the day for the most part. If you're a returning subscriber, you guys know how much you guys mean to me. And it's really awesome to see the growth that we've had, to see the opportunities that are opening. There's some things in the works behind the scenes that I'm going to be very excited to announce very shortly. So yeah, I greatly appreciate the support. Please hit that thumbs up button right now if you're watching this to help me out a ton, and also subscribe if you haven't, or you can wait till I give you guys the value if this is your first time here. But thank you so much. A couple of quick housekeeping things before we cover this three-game slate. The first thing that I'd like to call out is the projections. So we do have Draftkings projections, and as of today, as of an hour ago, we now have FanDuel projections, and you can get those over on Patreon. But there's a caveat that I want to discuss. And actually, this is the caveat, but I'll quickly discuss it. This is the page. There's a link down below, and you can see we have the DFS projections for DraftKings, FanDuel, and then if you want both, it'll be a little bit cheaper for a package. Might adjust that price to make it a little more cost-friendly for you guys. But the thing with Patreon, and I might have done this accidentally, I might have to start a new Patreon, which won't be any problem. If you've already paid, you'll be fine. Just working through the hashes. The problem right now is that, and I could go to this quickly just to show you guys so you know what I'm talking about. So the way that you pay monthly, but I don't know if I checked this box or if it was just the way they do it. They charge on the first of every month. Well, that's not fair for the people who at the end of February right now just paid, right? You're going to get knocked twice really quickly. That's not fair at all. So if you are somebody who has already paid, reach out to me. I'll make sure to PayPal you back, Venmo you back. That second charge, and then we might have to just restart the Patreon page. We might have to re-get everybody in there at the end of the month because apparently they're telling me that I did this, which is probably true, but I didn't know what I was doing. So that's just that. That's where the projections are. If you want FanDuel or if you want DraftKings, they're up there. Keep an eye out. We might be trying to move those over to a WordPress site because it just seems a lot more friendly, especially for the future. So that's Patreon. You guys can check it out for the projections. You could wait, I would say right now, wait until 2 days or so. If you want them right now, I'll be happy to send you back your charge that'll come shortly after due to the first of the month, which just seems ridiculous. So we'll work through that. So yeah, if you're here right now, we're approaching 3,000 subs. We have been for a little while now, so please consider subscribing throughout. And let's jump into this thing. The other thing I'll just mention is that we are streaming on Twitch right now, so come over here. There's a link down below. It's just a streaming platform. If you want to get questions in during the day, maybe even before lock is when I do some streams. And also jump into the Discord. It's a group chat app down below. There's free channels. We talk all day long, sports and DFS, so hop in there. So we'll start with injury news. If you have been here before, you know this is where we always start because it's the most important thing for the NBA. Injury news, right? Who's in, who's out, where are those minutes going to be going? Minutes equal money. You need to know all of these things. And on a three-game slate, there's usually not a lot of injury news as compared to an 11-game slate. And there's usually not a lot of things or moving pieces throughout the day, unless a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who seems to be or Kyrie Irving, who seems to be the guys who just get late scratch for rest all the time on these types of slates, do sit out. So keep an eye out for that. But we pretty much have all the news that we need. DeAndre Jordan's doubtful. The proper term actually is without a timetable to return. So you could bank on him being out today. Trey Lyles is already out. What's that going to do? It's going to increase or solidify Paul Millsap's minutes, who has been on an absolute tear of late. When you can bank on Paul Millsap to get closer to 30 minutes instead of closer to 25, he's usually a bargain. We'll have to see, though, based on his current price, now that he's been going off, if that's come up. Mason Plumlee, or is Plumless, we're going to have to change that. Mason Plumlee, we'll also see his minutes solidified probably closer to the mid-20s range as the primary backup to Paul Millsap. And for DeAndre Jordan, it's going to affect every single big out there. We saw Noah Vonleh draw the, I would say, unexpected but reasonable start at the 5. Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench had a great game, had a block party like he always does. Luke Cornett was okay, probably see the least minutes out there. And Lance Thomas was a pleasant surprise for some people who ended up playing him. All these big men now get bumps when a guy like DeAndre Jordan and his 30 minutes are to be split apart, especially at the 5 position where you want as many guys as possible. Outside of that, I mean, just some backup guards are going to be out. Frank for Nicotilina. Messed that up. That was bad. Yikes. and also Isaiah Briscoe. So those guys are out. What that's actually going to do is increase DJ Augustine, who it also seems like the Magic are always on these 3-game slates. Why is it always the Knicks, Magic, and OKC? Just awful teams to choose from. And Jerry Grant, who had a good game last time, 25 points in like the 3K range. He's going to be the primary backup point guard now. He's going to get all of Briscoe's minutes. DJ Augustine's minutes get solidified. Very bad player in terms of fantasy and probably real life, but he does give you a little bit of a boost when you could bank on his minutes coming through without Briscoe. And then all the Knicks guards are in play. So, I mean, my notes, you can see there's no teams on a back-to-back. There's only 6 teams playing. This is my notes, right? And honestly, there's probably, we can put in here, Orlando shooting guards / small forwards, ... So the Knicks bigs and guards are a mess. Pretty much the entire Knicks team, that means, is a mess. Who do you choose from in the back and front court with all these guys here now going to get minutes split up and none of them really having any insane interest of mine? And then you also have their guards. DSJ just dropped 50, but I mean, there's still Moutier out there cutting into those minutes. There's still Trier getting his minutes out there. So it's a lot. Damian Dotson. And then Orlando shooting guards and small forwards, we'll get into that. But I mean, the shooting guard and small forward, it's hard to pinpoint them, right? You have Fournier, you have Ross, who has GPP ceiling upside. You have Aaron Gordon, who's a small forward, power forward, wherever he's going to start today. You have Jonathan Isaac, who started the power forward last time. All these guys, just 4 of them, any of them can do good in a single game, or any of them can completely bust, and it's kind of hard to throw your dart. So it seems like very much a dart throw today just because of these teams. We'll move over to the target offense. But before we do, as I have been doing for the past few days here, I've been promoting a site called Drafters. So this is Drafters. This is a draft that I actually did this morning on a 3-game slate. It's a little rough, but what Drafters is, it's a little bit of a change up from the Draftkings and the FanDuel salary-based sites, right? It's an online live snake draft auction, or not an auction, just a live online draft, snake draft style, like a standard league, just has that daily fantasy component because you can do it every single day. I've been talking to the guys over there. They've been happy to promote my channel because I'm promoting this site, and I don't really promote a lot of sites unless I really enjoy them. I've been playing over here. I really enjoy the system that they have here. There's a lot of better things as compared to the competitors that I believe they do. You can late swap. They send you emails and notifications when a guy's out, so you don't forget to late swap and just burn all your money. And a couple other things. So this is how I drafted today. I just got Jamal Murray. You can actually shift guys into the shooting guard position. A lot of point guards, a lot of centers can become powerful forward eligible, which is great. So this is a draft. There's 4 teams in it, and we're in the big GPP. It was like $1 to enter. So us 4 teams draft together. Then we go into the whole field of the GPP where all those teams drafted in teams of 4. So it's very different than the salary-based. I actually like it a lot. The same pricing or the same scoring as FanDuel. They have their projections here so you can kind of see what's going on if you don't have your own types of projection system. And yeah, it's really cool. If you deposit today, there's a link down below. Through that link, you'll be able to get a 50% match up to $100. Some of you had friend requested me. My name's Sal Vetri, so friend request me. Like if you friend requested me yesterday, let's play a contest head to head, whatever you guys want to do. So friend request Sal Vetri, and we can get over there. We can start playing. Yeah, they also do a lot of free rolls. They did like a Joel Embiid free roll the other day, and I like it a lot. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Quickly, just to go to their site, this is how you just enter. You click a contest, and then once it fills to get the 4 people, you click join, and you start to go. These are their featured GPPs of the day. You could also play head-to-heads. They give you notifications not only on the site, but through email. See, Giannis yesterday, I drafted, and it said he's going to have 0 points. That was just like a test draft. James Harden the day before was late scratch, and they let you know as soon as possible, as soon as they get the news, which is pretty much instantly. So definitely check them out. That's Drafters. They're helping me out. So I want to help them out for sure, especially because I believe in the site. And if you guys like what I've been doing and you trust my opinion, try it out. It's definitely a different refresher from all the pros over on DraftKings and FanDuel because they're definitely not on this site. I can tell you that right now. That's because there's just not as much money for them to win or have a greater edge. So let's get back to this. Check out Drafters for sure. So who's your daddy? What's going on? I need to talk to you about this WordPress. So yeah, target offense. Here's the 6 teams playing today, right? And what we're looking at here is the pace, the totals for the games, both team and over-unders. We have a couple decent totals. I mean, in terms of decent games, yeah, we have Denver and OKC, pretty good game. We have Boston-Toronto, a rematch they played, I believe, like a week ago or so. A couple of playoff matchups, potential playoff matchups, and then you get Orlando and the Knicks. Orlando fighting for a playoff spot, the Knicks just dust. And then you can see how the teams defend the point guard and all the rest of the positions over the last 30 days here. So what you want to look at here is projected pace, how many possessions there's going to be in this game. I use an algorithm to predict it, and you can see right here. So the highest projected pace, barely, right? These pretty much have the same pace, but you're going to get a bigger total out of this OKC-Denver game. That's just because they're maybe more efficient, so the pace is going to lead to more opportunities. There's better scorers. Paul George on that team. Nurkic is very efficient. Even Russell Westbrook, who's not efficient, but he's going to take a ton of shots in these pace-up spots. They're not going to let the clock run down. So what you get here is a team that's going to be pretty close. These games, for the most part, are all going to be pretty close today. But you want to target, look at this, 120 points, 116 points. Both the two highest totals for teams on the slate, they're playing each other. So this game, and it's also the latest game, which is always nice to have those players' minutes remaining and knowing what you have to do later on. So it makes sense to want to target this. The three most expensive players, George, Russell, and Jokic are in these games. So keep an eye out for that. So just for example, based on this slate, you're going to see that today Denver's power forwards have a good matchup against OKC, against Grant, against Morris, whoever's going to be starting for OKC. Well, that's pretty good. They have the best matchup on the slate at least. That's pretty good for guys like Paul Millsap, who have been going off, for Mason Plumlee, who will get extended minutes. And then you want to go to the center. You're even going to have a good matchup for Jokic. You're even going to have a good matchup over here for Marc Gasol if he starts at center, or Ibaka. Always a hard thing to judge, especially now that we have Kawhi going to be most likely back in the lineup. New York's point guard position is going to have the best matchup on at least the slate tonight, going up against DJ Augustine. Do you really trust DSJ after a 50-point game? Ownership probably be inflated, but there's slim pickings. So these are just some of the things to keep in mind. You can screenshot the target offense page for sure. Good morning, E-Rush. Good morning. Good morning. So let's go over to my early interests. And again, if you're watching right now on this YouTube replay, please hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing right now. I think we need pretty much 100 more around there for 3,000 subs, and that'd be great if we can get it by the end of the week. A couple more slates on this week, and that'd be awesome. Honestly, that'd be absolutely incredible. So earlier interest is what I was going to fill out right now. I wanted to do this live with you guys. So in terms of early interests, Dennis Smith Jr. is who we just talked about, and he should come up if I do this. So yeah, I like doing this kind of just the way like that. So Dennis Smith Jr., early interest in terms of, do I actually want to play him? I'd probably go through and say, as of right now, no, not really. He is an early interest of mine just because, yeah, he just went for 52 last game, has the best matchup on the slate. But I do want to point out there that there is guys like Emmanuel Mudiay out there. There are Damian Dotson. Smith Jr. is going to draw the start. He should see the majority of the minutes after kind of having a game where he didn't play the last 20 minutes. So in terms of interest or things that are on my mind, wanted to bring up Dennis Smith Jr. Let's go over actually to the player projection sheet. I won't show the points right now. And a lot of this is subject to change based on minutes projections. This is what people are getting who do go through Patreon. Once again, if you're somebody who's just paying, you're going to get double charged, so let me know. We'll take care of that. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go through here and do it a little bit quicker, to be completely honest. Forgot to fill out the early interests. Again, rough morning. But I kind of already know where I'm at on this slate. I spent a good amount of time on it than I usually do in the mornings because it's a 3-game slate. They're easier to digest. And if we want to talk early interest today, it's Jokic again, right? Based on the price compared to these guys, ideally I want to get 2 guys out of these top 3, right? At least for cash. In tournaments, this is probably going to be the most popular build. And I think that spending $400 more for a better matchup, and probably the guy with by far the highest ceiling in terms of between the center positions between Vooch and Jokic, I want to spend $400 more and get him all day. Center eligible only, but that's fine. $10,000 is criminally low for him with the 80 burger in his back pocket all the time, and with his floor being in the 40s, and you can reasonably expect 50 plus out of him, especially in a high scoring competitive game. That's another thing. His spot is just way better. So in terms of centers, he's my number 1 center. And then if you want to pick between Russell or George, it's pretty much either day, and I think here is just what you're going to get with salary. Fill in the rest of your lineup, or you can fill in Jokic and one of these guys, and then you go from there. But I think that $600 savings, if you can find the way to get up to Westbrook, that's where I want to go. I think that's where I'm going to start a lot of things. I never get around to Kawhi Leonard. He's probably not an interest of mine today. Kyrie has a tough matchup. The Raptors defend the point guard position, and we can go back to the target offense right here. They defend it really well. Not just on this slate, but in the league in general, they defend it really, really well. You can see OKC defends the shooting guard position really, really well. A spot where we're going to see, we don't have word yet, probably Malik Beasley, Gary Harris splitting the time there. I don't know who's going to start. Neither of them are going to draw attraction for me, but I'm assuming it's going to draw attraction for a lot of other people. Moving down a little bit more, Siakam's always great, but we obviously know the splits, or maybe not obviously, but there are splits with Kawhi Leonard on and off the court. So I do want to get word on a lot of those things. We already talked about Dennis Smith Jr. Aaron Gordon, always a guy I play, and he finally hit the floor of 23 points. So maybe now I get off him a little, but probably not. And these guys back-to-back is very funny here. So the fact that Aaron Gordon and Horford are back-to-back here. 2 of my favorite plays night in and night out. Buddy Hield in the same category for cash because they're always priced in the low to mid 6K range, and they always come through. Al Horford, I love once again today. A little bit of a tougher matchup in Toronto, but nothing that he can't handle. I just absolutely love this. He plays well against Toronto in the postseason, regular season. Then you see Paul Millsap. So now you get a lot of these guys, Serge Ibaka, Paul Millsap, Horford, and Horford's power forward eligible as well. These are pulling from just basketball reference, so it just does one position. So Horford being power center or power forward and center eligible is just so great, right? You're going to get both out of that. Aaron Gordon, if he starts at the 4, he's small forward eligible, so you get an extra power forward in your lineup if you choose to go that way. I do like Millsap. We already checked on the matchup today. We looked at it right over here. Millsap's just in a great spot. So is Mason Plumlee if you want to get a little bit cheaper. I think you ride the wave on Millsap. As of right now on a 3-game slate, if this was a bigger slate, inflated ownership, I'd probably fade it. And potentially in tournaments, it's worth a fade, especially since there's a lot of guys, power forwards and centers in this 5K range that you can deal with and get away with. I do like Horford, so definitely an interest of mine is Horford. We already talked on Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook and Paul George, of course, but whichever one you could afford a little bit more. Lowry, no interest now that we have Kawhi Leonard back. No interest in Kawhi Leonard. Really no interest in a lot of these Raptors. If Marc Gasol draws the start, once again, being a little bit cheaper at 5,700, maybe I go there. But for the most part, it's going to be avoiding that. I think the player pool for me today on a 3-game slate, it's probably going to be 15 or below players, which it really shouldn't be, but on a 3-game slate, I kind of want to take a lot of stances. It's just murky, right? Jordan, he's not playing any minutes today, so he's going to get jumped from these projections once they're ran. Jamal Murray, I don't mind Jamal Murray at $6,000, especially when he's $700 cheaper than DSJ, especially in tournaments. I think he's a very fine pivot. I think he's fine in cash. I think he's too cheap in cash, actually. Tatum, $5,900 is priced now coming down a little bit. Whenever he goes below 6K, he's a value spot because he's priced at what his median is on the year. And then you get in right here. So these guys, you're going to get Terrence Ross as well. We already talked about Gordon. All these Magic guys who play the 2, the 3, the 4, any of them can go off. And this is the way that I'll list them. Ready? I'm going to put Aaron Gordon first for GPPs, and then Terrence Ross second for GPPs. Both guys have bigger ceilings. Gordon's minutes, especially as a starter, are a little more solidified. In terms of cash, I think I'm going to be going with Evan Fournier first, and then Aaron Gordon. Fournier is a guy who's going to get you probably 25 points with the upside of 35. And if he's a guy at 5,800 that's one of your last guys in or a guy you're counting on in cash, out of all these 4 guys, he's the one for me. But I think Aaron Gordon's still fun in all formats, more so in GPPs, just because he does have, I believe he is consistent, even though he got 23 points last time out. You can check his game logs. He's pretty consistent when he gets his minutes. But in terms of just even more consistency for cash, it's Fournier for me, then Gordon. Then I go Isaac, and then Ross for cash. But GPPs, it's Gordon, Ross, then Isaac, then Fournier for me, just based on the ceiling of Fournier isn't that high, and the amount of times the consistency in which he gets to that ceiling isn't the greatest. Somebody said that Lowry always plays good against Boston. I think that's fair. Again, I haven't done lineup construction yet. 7,300 is obviously a great savings off of Irving, and I do have slight interest in Irving. But $1,500 less to get Lowry. Obviously less of a ceiling with Kawhi back and less of a ceiling just in general compared to Irving. That's why the pricing difference is there. So I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But right now, neither of them too much on my radar. Kyrie a little bit more. We talked about Gasol. Steven Adams is not a guy I usually like to play, but I mean, look at this. Steven Adams is going to be the starting center here in the highest total game on the slate. The hammer as well. And then you get Mitchell Robinson priced up to 5,400, who might not even start tonight. I mean, I like Adams over Robinson right there alone. Even if Robinson starts, I like Adams over him. Just so many bigs out there that you don't really know what's going on in New York. There's 4 that are going to be possibly getting center minutes, at least 3 tonight, you would imagine. Kevin Knox, I do like Kevin Knox at 5,200. He's a little bit too cheap. And kind of this range right here is where I think a lot of tournaments and even cash games are going to be won. The Kevin Knox, Moutier, Will Barton, and Mason Plumlee. You're going to have to kind of choose 2 guys in this range, and you're going to have to choose the right ones. Early on in the day, I want to choose the starters, right? So Mason Plumlee kind of gets a little bumped out of there. Moutier most likely gets bumped out of there, and then it gets filtered down to Will Barton and Kevin Knox. Never liked playing Will Barton. Seems like he has a low floor and not the highest of ceilings in this offense. But I do like Kevin Knox today. He has been a little bit hot, and he does have a tougher matchup. The guards have an easier matchup against Orlando than the bigs, which is another reason I don't really like these shaky bigs in New York, especially when Mitchell Robinson's priced up to 5,400. But yeah, I think that's an interesting range. Morris is cheap. 4,700 for a starting power forward is way too cheap. Going to have a little bit of a tougher matchup with Siakam, but Siakam, nothing that Morris can't handle. Grant we have, and I mean really at this point, Fred VanVleet's going to get 0 minutes. We know he's out. Gary Harris I have no interest in. Dotson I have no interest in. If you want to come down to the cheaper range, where we're going to see 4K and below, guys that you can kind of jump on. I mean, Dennis Schroeder's a little bit too cheap at 4,300, highest total game on the slate. A starting point guard at 4,100, DJ Augustine, who's pretty much dust. At least he's there, and he's going to provide some value. Noah Vonleh, if he starts at the 5 once again, not something I love against Vooch at all. But if we can get Noah Vonleh for 4,000 at the 5 and just hope to get a 25 burger out of Vonleh, that's good. And he's power forward eligible, so you can get an extra guy in your lineup. Outside of that, not much. I like Danny Green offers some upside, but not a ton. And then it's pretty much Dust City or injuries, whatever it might be down here. Cornette, no interest in. Trier at 3,600, a little bit. Maybe he should see around 20 minutes today. And that could be enough, right? Especially for GPPs, keep him on the radar. But small slate, small player pool for me today. I mean, there's probably 15 interests. And I have to go through them early. It's going to be these top 3 highly priced guys. It's going to be Kyrie. It's going to be Siakam. It's going to be this range right here of 3. Then you can get down to Murray. Don't really have any interest in Tatum. Have interest in Fournier, especially in cash. Interest in Steven Adams. Not too much in Gasol, even if he starts. I think there's too many bodies out there for me personally. Just Terry Rozier's price is ridiculously high all the time. I know that they think Kyrie might get sat every single day, which he probably will today. Watch. By the time you're watching this, if Kyrie's out, we're predicting the future right here. But yeah, Terrence Ross, no interest. Mitchell Robinson at his priced. I mean, no real interest, especially against Vooch for me personally. This whole range right here I'm very interested in and seeing what's happening, especially maybe running a Mason Plumlee in GPPs, fading the Paul Millsap, which should be super highly owned, which for a good reason should be. Interested in Marcus Morris. And then outside of that, we just have some value plays in Schroeder that I'm interested in. DJ Augustine a little bit. Marcus Smart, you could say maybe, but I'm not there. And then Noah Vonleh. That's it. I think we named, 15 players, which is about what I expect on a 3-game slate for cash. GPPs, you could add in an extra 3 or 4 guys because you're going to be a little riskier. But that's it for me. Those are the early interests. Sorry that I forgot to kind of fill out this page here. A lot going on this morning. So yeah, that's it. That's your early interest. If you want to see the projections, you can head over onto Patreon right here. Again, something's going on there. I'm going to build a WordPress site, I believe, and just kind of get this all sorted out and for once and for all. But again, if you've already paid for Patreon, don't worry about it. You're in the Discord. You're set away. And let me know if you paid. And when that second charge comes, I'll just PayPal you back or Venmo, whatever you like to use. So yeah, check out Drafters. We talked about them. If you guys go on there, definitely hit me up with a friend request. I think you can invite friends here, and then there's a way to do friend requests. Find friends right here. So you go to find friends, and you just say Sal Vetri. That's it, my name. So yeah, it's a YouTube name, so it's easy to find and spell. Yeah, thank you guys so much. We'll finish it up by just going back to target offense. I'll put these in the Discord. The projections will be updated throughout the day. Not expecting too much to change. Maybe we get a Kyrie scratch. Maybe we get a Kawhi scratch, right? But thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter, wherever you want to hit me up with any questions you have during the day. My name's Sal. You already know that, YouTube. Peace out, gang.